Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Movie Pop, and today we're here to talk about Danny Boyle's latest film, Yesterday. So this film, let's start off with the director. It's directed by Danny Boyle. For those of you who don't know Danny Boyle, he is actually a acclaimed filmmaker from the United Kingdom who's made such famous films as Trainspotting, The Beach, 28 Days Later, Sunshine, Slumdog Millionaire, and of course one of my all-time favorites, Steve Jobs, starring Michael Fassbender and Joe Rogan. Not Joe Rogan. Who's the other Rogan?
The one with...
Who's the other Rogan guy? Seth Rogen. Thank you. Thank you, DJ.
I got nothing. Sorry.
So Yesterday, it's starring Himesh Patel, featuring Lily James. It's about a down-and-out musician who's basically on the tail end of his career that has never launched off, when suddenly a massive electrical blackout takes over the whole entire world. He gets hit by a bus and wakes up in a hospital, only to realize moments later that none of the world has any recollection of who the Beatles are. So, seeking to capitalize on this newest revelation he sees this as a point for him to launch his career. Of course, by using the music of the Beatles and coming into his own as a worldwide celebrity, off the tailcoats of the greatest band never known. So my expectations for this film, honestly, I'm a really huge Beatles fan. And I've enjoyed such films in the past that I think ended up doing a lot better than what I feel like this film ended up doing. Across the Universe is one film I think perfectly utilizes the back catalog of the Beatles into a narrative framework for a film. So I was hard-pressed to think that this movie would meet my expectations in terms of what that film had done. After viewing the teaser and final release trailer for this film, I could say, honestly, my expectations were rather moderate. It seemed to me that this film would rather follow a pretty familiar narrative framework. And after viewing the film, I have to say that actually was the case. If you've watched the trailer for this film, you'll either be pleasantly surprised or pleasantly disappointed that this movie actually mirrors the trailer pretty much in terms of like what you can expect to get from it. It doesn't kind of really break out of the mold any more than what you would expect from watching the film. So with that said, Lawrence, what were your expectations going into this film and your general consensus?
Yeah, so I expected this to be kind of like a tribute to the Beatles, mainly about the Beatles, all that stuff, main focus on them. And I expected it to be kind of a very serious film. I thought it was kind of like to pay homage to the Beatles. It turned out to be kind of a romantic comedy. Wasn't expecting that at all. I mean, like you said, the trailer pretty much tells the whole story. It's not really that it ruins the movie or anything, but what you see in the trailer is kind of what you get. That's really all I have for my expectations, because I wasn't expecting a whole bunch. I'm not, I'm not a huge Beatles fan, but before I say any more, let's just head right into the pros, because I know we got a lot to talk about on that. So why don't you go ahead and give your pros, and then I'll come back to that.
Yeah, we're going to leave that part where you said you're not really a Beatles fan alone and move forward.
We'll come back.
Because it seems like, the tables are reversed here. If anything, you should be the Beatles fan, and the black man should not know anything about that. So, pros. It's interesting. I'm really actually in a very terrible mood today, so sorry for my camera presence, and perhaps that tainted my experience of viewing this film. I think I could sense it was funny. It had a lot of jokes throughout the film, and maybe logically I could understand this is funny and people are laughing. There's a dude next to me just really just laughing his ass off.
There was a guy that laughed at almost like every scene, just like really loud laugh, like. But you didn't find it funny at all?
But
you just weren't into it?
I was laughing inside, but not out loud.
There was a couple where I was kind of chuckling. I'd say actually more than a few.
Once it happened.
I found some of the scenes pretty funny, like when he looks up Coke and Coke doesn't exist, and he gets Pablo Escobar. I was like, oh, that's pretty funny.
Right.
There's stuff like that,
Right.
like a little bit of humor. Yeah. But yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Keep going.
No, yeah, it wasn't gut bursting funny for me, and I can't tell if it's because it wasn't or because like I'm generally not predisposed to like laughing as intently as most people, or if that's a combination of those things, and then the fact that I'm just in a terrible mood today.
Yeah.
So, but the audience seemed to have enjoyed it, and I could definitely get a sense of levity from the film. It felt light and fresh, and I could feel like that levity. You know.
I gotcha.
And then Ed Sheeran. I thought he was probably the funniest part of the film. I really enjoyed his performance.
Did you like his acting? I feel like he was a little stiff in some scenes.
I did.
Maybe that's just me.
Well, I felt like it was a deadpan delivery, so I got it in that sense, if that's what he was going for. No. But, you know, and of course my general pros, I think, always lend towards it being competent in terms of a Hollywood cinematic event. But beyond that, I think that's it. What about you, man?
So I thought the movie, as someone, like we said earlier, someone who, I'm not a big fan of the Beatles, I feel like this movie did a good job of showing like appreciation and made me actually kind of want to explore more of the Beatles and consider, you know, maybe listening to more of that music, because I liked the music in the film. I thought it was good, and they had a lot of it, obviously, as it should. I feel like that should have been the main thing about the movie. Like I said, I thought it was actually pretty funny. I found a great, like, this was not a movie I was really expecting to enjoy, and I find myself enjoying it. It wasn't like the greatest movie I've ever seen, but it was, I found, you know, I wasn't Hellboy. Back to Hellboy, here we go. You know, like it was okay. Yeah.
You know me.
Yeah. So, but I mean, those are really my only pros. Like, it showed good appreciation, and it was, you know, relatively enjoyable and funny. Why don't we head into some of those cons now? Because I think we got a lot more to talk about there than we do for pros.
Yeah. Personally, as a lifelong Beatles fan and a Beatles enthusiast, for me, I don't feel like there were enough Beatles covers in this film. And the ones that they did, they were intercut with a lot of... how do I describe this? They were intercut with a lot of narrative like sequences. So you'd have the main character Himesh Patel playing songs, and then like it cut to it like another actor because it's part of a gag, or because it's, you know, kind of like doing like a narrative threading, like that's kind of trying to propel us towards the next scene. So we're never really fully immersed in like any one particular song for any particular, like for any reasonable length of time for a Beatles fan to truly just appreciate. And like I said before, the film Across the Universe did this in spades, and to excellence and to perfection. So for me, it was kind of lacking in that sense. And before we recorded, you had mentioned that you felt like the film was overlong. I definitely second that as well. I think 20 to 30 minutes of the runtime could have been shaved off easy. Right. And finally, of course, the general premise of the film is very interesting, very entertaining, and I was hoping for it to kind of expound upon that and become greater than the sum total of its parts, and it did not. It's very familiar, it's very simple, and not in a necessarily positive way. Not necessarily negative way either, but it didn't do anything more to expand upon the, quite honestly, interesting premise. Yeah. So with that, oh, one more thing. Kate McKinnon. I enjoyed her performance thoroughly. I thought she was very entertaining and funny, but for her, she rests right in the middle of my pros and cons, because her performance was fantastic and funny and what you would expect from Kate McKinnon in Saturday Night Live, but also because of that fact, she plays to her strengths with the kind of like acting she does for Saturday Night Live. And it felt like she was a caricature. She wasn't really much of a real character.
Yeah, I feel like she was like her SNL self. And like, you're supposed to be a manager. It was just like she was a little too funny, you know? It's like... Right, doing things. And she's supposed to be like scummy. Like, you know, like she seems like she's trying to be scummy, but then she also wants to be funny. It's like, which one are you going to... What are you trying to do here? You know? Yeah. She ended up being kind of like a... Yeah, just like a...
She was a caricature.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know, she wasn't like a genuine like character.
Right, yeah. Okay. That was your last one, right?
Yeah. That's it.
So yeah, like you said, we share the feeling that the movie was a little bit long. Some scenes also kind of dragged, and they didn't like need to. So you're just like, why is this even? Why, you know?
Yeah.
I don't like that they kind of bamboozled us, and they're like, this is a Beatles movie, and then it turns out it's actually kind of just a love movie with the Beatles in it. Didn't like that. It was a little unexpected.
Really?
I guess it's
You
cool.
weren't expecting that?
Not from the trailer. I didn't get that it was like a love story. Honestly, I thought half the movie that they were a couple. Did you not get that either? I was like, wait, so they're not dating?
You thought they... Oh, no, I definitely did not think that at all. From the onset, I could tell. It was like, will they or won't they kind of premise.
Because, like, in the beginning, they're acting like a couple. I'm so confused. And then it's like, just kidding, they're not actually dating. And, I don't know. Yeah.
No, I didn't get that at all.
I don't know. It's weird because I usually pick up on story, like, details really fast. And I was just like, I got it. I was like, okay, they're not dating. But then I was just like, in the beginning, I'm like from the trailer, for example, like the movie, when I was watching the movie, I got it. But from the trailer, I was like, oh, they're clearly dating. And then I was like, oh, they're clearly not dating anymore. She just, I don't know.
Probably because you're a happily in love man in a relationship, and I'm not, so I can kind of recognize.
Yeah, that would be a good way of explaining it, I guess. I don't know. She just seemed like, I don't know. She's doing stuff that's more than just like a friend would do. Like, she's always with him, and I guess she's his manager, so maybe that's why.
Well, I got. That
I didn't know.
sense
You don't know that
there was
from the
something
trailer.
beneath
Yeah.
the surface. But yeah, in terms of it actually being established as a relationship from the onset, no.
And who runs to someone's house in the middle of the night even to ask him a simple question in the rain? And you guys aren't in love.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
See, I'm making you a believer.
Right. Yeah.
And then, honestly, I felt like the movie was kind of missing a climax. I feel like it was about to hit it, and then it just ends. And I'm like, what? Like, the very ending, I don't want to spoil anything, but, like, the very ending of the movie, that scene where he's on stage, like, I feel like that was going to be the climax, and then they just kind of just falls short, you know?
Interesting.
I just,
I don't want to add on to that without spoiling the movie, but I think without spoiling the movie, what I could say about the ending is that the central theme is love is everything, right? So for me, like, that landed. I liked it. For me, it seemed like an appropriate climax to their story. And it resonated with me because there's a lack of that at the moment. So maybe perhaps for you, because you're fulfilled, it seemed rather lackluster.
I think it's like, because I expected a Beatles movie, it's just weird. Like, this kind of plays into the fact that, like, I wasn't expecting, like, a romantic comedy movie, you know? Like, I was expecting a Beatles-oriented film, and then it was like, I guess because I thought they were dating, and then it turns out, like, that's, like, a major part of the story. So, just a little, the trailer kind of just threw me off, but it was okay. I think I was pleasantly surprised. Not to say this is, like, the most fantastic movie I've ever seen, but it was, like, a pleasant surprise, you know? Just a couple gripes here and there, and with that, I think we're good to, why don't we throw out our scores? DJ, do the honors.
All right. Well, for me, it's a very unfortunate because Danny Boyle is really, truly a gifted filmmaker. And as I mentioned at the opening of this film, the opening of this review, he's done such amazing films. Trainspotting, The Beach, 28 Days Later, Sunshine, Slumdog Millionaire, and Steve Jobs. So really, compared to like what his filmography is, this definitely, I think, rests pretty firmly at the bottom of his full filmography. So for me, I'm gonna have to say this is a 3.5 bag of popcorn for me, which is like about 60%, I think.
70%.
70. All right, good enough.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to meet you there as well.
Average.
3.5. I think this movie is serviceable, not absolutely terrible. Worth, I think it's enjoyable to watch, but don't like break your back trying to get to the theaters. It's not a big deal. You can watch it.
For the
whenever you get a chance.
I was going to ask you, for those who don't have AMC A-List, if you were to actually purchase a ticket, the average ticket cost is $10 for a ticket. Would you recommend someone spending money and spending 2 hours of their time to watch this movie in
Probably not.
theaters?
Wait till it's like on DVD. Or we don't condone pirating, but pirate that shit.
I condone pirating, and I say pirate that shit.
Hey,
so.
that's a white guy and then DJ recommendation right there.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, hey, listen, that's our review. That's our review for Danny Boyle's newest film called Yesterday. If you want to see more awesome movie reviews and trailer reactions, make sure to follow us on social media so you can get updated with our latest posts. Follow us on Instagram at MoviePopOfficial, on Facebook at MoviePopOfficial, and of course on Twitter at RealMoviePop.
And I say this all the time, guys. Your support means so much to us. We just want to we want to get some feedback. Your feedback has been instrumental in making our channel better. So we want to hear more feedback. Anything you can tell us, help us out. All that stuff just means so much to us. And as always, thank you so much for watching.